A young and beautiful woman, seen sitting side by side with the boss with some businessmen in a room. She immediately turned his head towards the door that had just opened. Impossible. The beautiful woman's mind is none other than Kim Jinny. Jinny suddenly very nervous as she closed her eyes. She finally got up the courage to look at the CEO, slowly opened his eyes to confirm his guess. Lisa, she said very slowly with eyes fixed on the figure she misses but also avoids. A glimpse of surprise appeared on Lisa's face too when she saw Jinny, who was sitting in front of him, but he quickly turned even as his assistant's voice opened the meeting this time. "You are okay?" asked Jinny's boss, who is none other than Kai, his best friend. He noticed the expression on Jinny's face that suddenly changed. "Yeah, I'm fine, maybe a little nervous," Jinny replied with a slight smile. "Do as usual, don't be burdened," Kai whispered while gently patting Jinny's shoulder. Lisa didn't take her eyes off of Jinny when that woman presented the design. He looked at Jinny's face, which looks a little pale. "Is she sick?" Lisa thought. A small smile appeared on Lisa's lips when their eyes accidentally stared at each other, making Jinny even more nervous about it. "Very good," Kai said, half whispering towards Jinny, who just sat down, and Jinny just replied with a faint smile. Exactly 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they all stopped the presentation, to rest, and have lunch together. It turns out that the rumors circulating were true. A woman talks to Jinny while walking hand in hand. "It means," Jinny asked, not understanding, "about the CEO of a milk company. He turned out to be really very handsome," she said again with so much enthusiasm that it made Jinny felt hot to hear it. Even she stopped his steps. While entering the banquet hall, Jinny looked at Lisa, who was talking to the woman who had just complimented him. His thoughts were scattered and immediately made Jinny surprised when suddenly cold water poured down his body. "Sorry, miss. I didn't mean to. Sorry for my negligence," said the waiter who spilled the drink. Jinny just nodded while trying to clean up the spill water on his clothes, which looks quite a lot. "Sorry for this incident, Miss Jinny," Lisa said in a soft voice that made Jinny goosebumps hearing that. Lisa, who saw Jinny's condition, took off her coat and slightly bent down while putting on the coat to cover Jinny's body. "Don't refuse unless you want all the men in this room see your beautiful body," Lisa whispered in Jinny's ear when Jinny tried to refuse him help. Lisa opted out and took Jinny to his room. After reaching there, Jinny took off Lisa's coat. Lisa's fragrance clinging to the suit made Jinny's mind really messed up. "Destiny brings us together again," Lisa said slowly, but Jinny still heard him. He just looked off his door. "And you haven't changed at all," he continued while tracing Jinny's clearly visible curves under his wet shirt, let alone he wears a white shirt. Lisa walked towards Jinny, making the woman try to avoid B while walking backwards until he could no longer move because behind her was Lisa's desk holding her up. "What would you do?" Jinny asked with a scared look while holding her breath. "Why, are you afraid of me?" Lisa asked back with her crooked smile. "You still look beautiful," Lisa whispered while putting her hands on the table behind Jinny, and her eyes can't be separated from the woman's beautiful eyes. "I guess everyone is waiting for you to return to the lunch banquet," Lisa said again, after straightening her body, looking at Jinny's face, which is getting paler to him. Lisa smiled faintly after hearing Jinny breathe a sigh of relief, and it didn't take long for Ginny to walk out without saying anything. "But it looks like my luncheon is here," Lisa said, immediately pulling Ginny, then kissing the lips that really miss it. Ginny gasped when she felt Lisa's lips were crushing hers. Mercilessly, his tongue slipped into her mouth as well. Ginny returned Lisa's kiss with equal passion. Subconsciously, he wrapped his arms around Lisa's neck, made it easier for Lisa to deepen their kiss. Lisa slowly lifted Ginny's body and sat him down on his desk, and then he placed himself between her legs. One of his hands grabbed Ginny's body and pulled him closer, their body, while his other hand began to penetrate under the shirt. Ginny gently stroked the woman's stomach. Ginny is getting more and more immersed in the current of passion that Lisa awakens daughters. Oh, she doesn't know where she is now. Lisa's hands slowly began to rise to the top of Ginny's body, gently stroked her chest, made Ginny sigh. Daughters, oh great. Lisa opened her eyes, enjoying Ginny's expression when she touched her, the expression he loved and missed so much, and the sweet sigh that came out of the woman's lips made her passion even more. Lisa closed her eyes again and enjoyed Ginny's lips with longing. His hands are starting to get a little wild, gently squeezed and caressed the top of Ginny's chest. Lisa turned to kiss Ginny's white neck, and she took off the shirt she was wearing, but suddenly he stopped when he heard a knock on his door. Lisa broke the kiss and smoothed Ginny's shirt, then lowered Ginny's body, which was still frozen, from above table and sat him down on the sofa, then grabbed his coat to cover Ginny's body. "Change your clothes?" Lisa asked after seeing her assistant come out and put paper bag containing new clothes for Ginny. "Where can I change my clothes?" Ginny softly didn't dare to look at Lisa's face and just looking down at the floor. "Come in, change your clothes inside," said Lisa after opening the door to her private room. "Why is there a bedroom here?" Jenny said slowly after being in the room. She even imagined Lisa wasting time in that bed with another woman made her heart like pierced by thousands of nails. She quickly took out the clothes that Lisa's assistant brought, then immediately changed his clothes, which were still slightly wet. Because she did not want to linger, she immediately left the room. "I am done," said Ginny, who just came out of Lisa's room and looked at Lisa, who sits in his oversized chair. "Sit down first." Lisa's command glanced at Lisa, then put down his cell phone on the table. Ginny didn't answer even. She didn't sit up and just bowed his head, staring at the floor she stepped on. She was just trying to keep his heart beating in there. "Is the floor so beautiful that you can't look at me?" asked Lisa, who was standing in front of Ginny. Ginny is getting nervous and is still staring at the floor, playing with her thumbs. Her feet were down there, so that Lisa could only shake her head. His head saw the stupid behavior of the woman. "Don't you miss me, Jenny?" Lisa asked, just looking at Ginny's head while sitting in the corner of his desk, and Ginny just shook her head. "Ginny," called Lisa, while lifting Ginny's face with her index finger until they both look at each other. "I want to ask you out on a date. If you have free time, immediately tell me. I want to spend one night with you," Lisa asked, then kissed Ginny's lips briefly. Lisa stepped past Ginny, who was still standing still. After a few minutes, Ginny, without saying goodbye, immediately came out from Lisa's room. A week has passed. Ginny never met again with Lisa, who had ruined this mind. She only met with Lisa's assistant when discussing the project she was working on. Ginny's phone rang and Lisa's assistant's name appeared on the screen. It didn't take long for Ginny to receive her incoming call. "Hello. Can you go down? I'm waiting for you in the lobby only." "All right, I'll be down soon." Ginny spread her smile to say hello when she saw Lisa's assistant was actually in the lobby of her office. "Sorry to keep you waiting," said Ginny politely. "It's okay, I just arrived too," he answered, while taking Ginny out of the office to go tow the car that was waiting for him out there. Without suspecting, Ginny got into the car when Lisa's assistant opened the back door of the luxury car. Instantly, Ginny's heart suddenly beat faster when she saw someone in there. "How are you, Kim?" Lisa asked, while looking at Ginny's face, which was starting to turn pale. "Well," Ginny quietly looked at another after sitting herself on the side. "Lisa, who sits casually." Ginny again tried to calm her beating heart. "Tight, great in there because of his closeness to Lisa." "How long will I be like this?" Ginny thought, annoyed. Ginny was silent the whole way, while Lisa was discussing work matters with his assistant. Suddenly, Ginny's stomach growled, indicating she was hungry. Lisa and her assistant looked at each other a moment later while looking at Ginny's embarrassed face. Ginny grumbled in her heart because of the sound of her stomach know the place. Lisa is still glancing at her while holding back a smile, then ordered his assistant to find a place for lunch. "Come on, come down," invite Lisa while opening the car door. "Sorry," Ginny said after being inside the restaurant, and when they ordered food. "What for?" Lisa asked while raising one of her eyebrows, staring at Ginny. "Because it has hindered the journey," answered Ginny, who was still embarrassed. "No problem. We haven't had lunch either," Lisa answered with a faint smile. Ginny just nodded her head. Then the atmosphere became awkward when it's just the two of them at the table, because of Lisa's assistant choose to eat in a different place. "Have you thought about my offer?" Lisa suddenly said, surprising Ginny. "You mean?" Ginny asked, confused. "Spend one night with me," Lisa whispered right in Ginny's ear. Ginny goosebumps when Lisa's breath hit his face and suddenly made his face turn red. "There's business to settle between us, Ginny," he said again. "We never liked each other, Lisa," Ginny replied, daring to look at Lisa's face and trying to be relaxed. "I already told you no. Nothing happened between us to do with all that, even if you try your hardest to deny it," said Lisa. "Yes, I know," replied to Ginny. "Did you finally agree that we should spend one night together to end it all?" "Okay," Ginny answered after taking a deep breath. "Okay, what?" asked Lisa, who wants to be more clear. "Spent one night together," Ginny answered, looking at Lisa's face. "Good, we'll do it today too," Lisa said with a small smile. After hearing Ginny's words, without a word, Lisa immediately grabbed the woman's hand and pulled her out of the restaurant, regardless of the stares of all the maids there. Lisa immediately took Ginny away in the car shed drive alone, and Ginny just resigned herself to following Lisa's will. "Where is this?" Ginny asked nervously after being in the basement inside very luxurious building. "My apartment," Lisa answered while opening the seatbelt on Ginny's body. "I don't want anyone to disturb us," she continued in a whisper. "Don't want to linger." Lisa immediately brought Ginny into her apartment, and again Ginny just gave up while she looked at his hand that couldn't leave Lisa's grip. "Do you often do things like this?" Ginny asked after arriving at Lisa's apartment. "This is the first time," Lisa answered, looking honest. "Oh yeah, Why do you want me? What makes me different from other women? Asked Ginny again. I want you, Ginny. It's crazy. I'm not already never told you that in me life I have never want a woman like I want you. Lisa slowly drew closer to Ginny. Her hand reached to her face. A beautiful woman's gently caressed those smooth cheeks. Lisa is amazing. She even smiles. Sweet smile and soft, which is much more charming. Makes Jenny subconsciously smiled back. You're so beautiful, Jenny, Lisa whispered into Ginny's ear, accompanied by a soft kiss on the side of her smooth face, to make Ginny's blood swish. With her eyes closed, Ginny felt Lisa's body stiffen, but a moment later Lisa's body looks normal again. Can you be a little patient, Lisa? Said Ginny, who felt that it was Lisa who wanted to eat it right away at that time, even though they were not in the room. As fast as a flash, Lisa's hand reached Ginny's body and lifted her, made Ginny surprised because her body suddenly floated. We haven't even started yet, Lisa whispered. And I assure you, whatever you feel later, it's definitely not boredom, continued Lisa, smiling. Ginny can see the passionate expression on Lisa's face and her licked it. He just realized that he wasn't the only one drugged by Lisa, but vice versa. Boldly, Ginny put her arm around Lisa's neck, replying Lisa's hug, which she thought was very comfortable. Lisa increasingly embraced Ginny's body into her arms and gave Ginny a passionate kiss, which she reciprocated with as hot and passionate as Ginny. Lisa's fingers expertly traced the sensitive points on Ginny's body, resulting in a light sigh escaping the woman's sweet lips. The cold air slowly began to hit Ginny's smooth skin when Lisa slowly started to take off the shirt she was wearing. Lisa smiled when she saw Ginny's body reaction. When it worked, gently let go of the last cloth up there, remove it from Ginny's body. Lisa's hand gently stroked her innocent back, sending hot sensation all over Ginny's body, then her hands moving down trying to remove the last cloth carried there. Lisa, Ginny croaked helplessly because Lisa started to kiss her skin brought there. Lisa also released the kiss and looked at the innocent body that was made his blood boil even more. You are so beautiful, said Lisa, hoarse. Without another word, Lisa lifted Ginny's body and laid her down on his king-size bed and quickly undressed her, was still wearing, then pressed Ginny's body up there. Lisa, Ginny raved as if dissatisfied with Lisa's initial touch to her, and she deliberately puffed up his body even more, attaches his body to Lisa's body. Ginny closed her eyes when Lisa gave her a million sensation in her beautiful body, and when Lisa put the body together the sting of pain made Ginny scream. Lisa froze for a moment, because it turns out that Ginny is still pure far away than expected so far. He looked at Ginny with full of signs, asked after doing his hot stunt together. Why didn't you tell me? Lisa asked, slightly frowning. You never asked, Ginny answered while bowing her head. Lisa scratched her hair in frustration. She never thought a woman who was thought to be a temptress is still pure, and he was the first to have taken it. He looked closely at the woman who was looking down with that red face even after their hot romance. Why did you hand it over to me? Lisa asked a little softly. As you said, to assuage the passion that keeps pulling us, Ginny answered slowly. Lisa nodded. She hoped to hear the word love out of Ginny's mouth, which is red and slightly swollen because of the kiss. Disappointment overtook Lisa. The atmosphere that became a little awkward because of Ginny's answer, and it melts again when Ginny's stomach sound is heard. making Lisa laugh and Ginny was blown away by it. "I'm sorry for making you miss your lunch," said Lisa, who is still half laughing. "I'll cook some food for us to eat. Is there anything you want?" Lisa asked while pulling the blanket covering Ginny's face, which he deliberately closed out of shame. "Anything," Ginny answered while trying to maintain her blanket. Lisa happily prepares all her food on the dining table. After eating, she went back to his room and decided to sleep together.